Republican State Representative Justin Holland of Heath. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. So, as you know, the Texas House is set to vote on a bill that includes, it's a really comprehensive education bill because it not only includes taxpayer subsidies for students to attend private school, it also includes funding increases for public school districts and for teacher pay raises. So where are you on this?
Well, first of all, I'm really excited. We do have three bills that are going to be on the calendar tomorrow, and an HJR, which would change the Constitution dealing with school funding. And Chairman Ken King, is going to be carrying a school safety bill as well that matches with the HJR. So one of my main concerns this year is making sure that school safety continues to be a priority. And so before we get to House Bill 1, I'd like to say I'm really glad that we, as the House, are prioritizing school safety, which would include fully funding the mandates that we've put on the school districts to have armed guards at each campus, which right now, I think as it sits, we only fund about half of that. And in the future, I'm hoping that we can fully fund the mandate to have an armed guard on each campus. As it relates to House Bill 1, your specific question is, where are you on that? I'll have to tell you that I have some concerns about the prioritization of House Bill 1 because the reason that we are even here is because of the education savings account and the voucher. But I think we're talking about this issue in the wrong order. We need to be worried about teacher pay, teacher bonuses. We need to be talking about that safety component. And then really, are we philosophically as Republicans, is it conservative to have this type of an expansion of government programs? And so personally, I have heartburn over the education savings accounts and vouchers. It'll be interesting to see how that debate goes. I am glad that the debate will take place on the floor. It's been a long time coming, and there are a lot of folks that are supporters of a voucher of some sort. I have always run on pro-public education policy and being a champion for public schools in my district of House District 33. But I am glad that the Texas House will finally get a robust debate. And I think it's going to send a message to everyone in the state of Texas, the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the Senate about where the Texas House stands. Because we have to remember there are two deliberative bodies inside of that building.
And it sounds like, are you a strong opponent against vouchers, education savings accounts?
Jack, I am not supportive of House Bill 1 if it has an education savings account in it.
Is there any scenario in which you would be willing to support it or no?
I would support House Bill 1 with no education savings account and voucher, with robust teacher raises, with robust school safety, with accountability reforms, testing reforms. Our schools don't like the accountability system that the state has them in. They don't like the testing that they're required. We have a lot to do in Texas, and I'm a proponent of improving our public schools. And we have to remember, as constitutional conservatives, one of the main questions I ask myself is it conservative to have a general revenue expansion of government to the tune of $500 million to $1 billion over the next few years for just a few students in the state of Texas to take advantage of? If you run the numbers, somewhere around 50,000 students out of 5 million school-aged kids may be able to take care of this, or may be able to take advantage of this program. I don't think it's responsible. I think for long-term planning of how education is in the state of Texas, it's too fast. Even if you ask some of the states that have done this, you have to crawl before you can walk. And I don't think the state's there yet. We'll see tomorrow where this goes. I'm inclined to vote against a bill that has a voucher in it.
And do you think there are enough votes in the House this time around to pass it? HB 1 as it is.
I do not.
Why not?
Because I can count. And we'll see how that goes tomorrow. But we all House members, and I have to commend Dr. Buckley, the chair of public education. He is a wonderful House member, a wonderful friend, and a great man. And Dr. Buckley has worked his tail off to make sure that a bill could get to the floor to be debated. And he has done that. He has done his job. It is not his job to make sure that everybody agrees with the policy. It was his job to shepherd the legislation, have a robust discussion, get it to the floor to be deliberated by the full House, and that is how the Texas House works. I'm so proud of Dr. Buckley for getting a piece of policy, whether I agree with the full bill or not. I just don't think, and talking to members, as I've been a part of this process, even through the end of May, I've been in discussions with my fellow members in the House, and I just don't feel like that the tide is swinging towards this bill passing. I think it's very tight, and it's pretty split down the middle. But in the end, I don't think the votes exist to pass a voucher bill in the Texas House of Representatives.
Will you be offering an amendment to remove the education safety savings accounts component out of that bill?
I will not be offering an amendment. I don't plan to offer any amendments on this bill. I do know that there are amendments being drafted, and that is likely one of them. I will not be offering an amendment to strip the ESA.
Have you had any meetings with Governor Abbott specifically about this very issue?
I have. There's been a couple of times, both with Governor Abbott and with his staff, that we've been called in to discuss the policy, and it's been a moving target. There's been several iterations of this bill. During the regular session, I had a face-to-face conversation with the governor himself, and we talked to the issue. He was great to listen to my side of the issue, and I did the same for him. And that's the way that I expect these issues to go. I expect Republicans and Democrats alike to get together and debate policy on its merits, and then what happens is people send their representatives, their elected representatives, to the House and the Senate, and it's just my opinion that the Texas House does not have an appetite for a education savings account or voucher scenario at this time, and I don't know where that leads from here, but I can tell you that I get broad support at home. Whenever I talk to voters in my district, the issue comes up less than 5% of the time. We count, we keep data. The issue of school choice vouchers and education savings accounts comes up 5% of the time. And of that 5% of the time, 3% of those people are urging me to stay strong and support public education.
And so politically speaking, then, how confident are you that you will be able to win if you are being primaried? How confident that you will be able to win the primary in March, given your stance on this issue?
Well, Jack, that's a great question, but I don't take my job politically speaking. I mean, it is politics, and I will have to run on this. But the way that I look at it is, I've never been for a voucher. I've never been for ESAs. The students and the teachers, administrators, and the parents of House District 33, by and large, love our school districts. I represent Rockwall, Roy City, Wiley, and Plano. People move to this area of the state for their exemplary schools. And even in a broken and fragmented accountability system, my school districts are getting A's. And so I have a lot of support. I have people stop me in restaurants to tell me thank you for supporting schools in Texas. And, politics is not a zero-sum game. If that is your one issue, then there will be options, and elections are decided at the primary box.
Did Governor Abbott ever try to change your opinion? Did he ask, hey, Representative Holland, is there anything that I can do to make this, pass? Has he ever asked you that?
My discussions with Governor Abbott were very respectful and very gentlemanly. He never tried to twist arms, and he never tried to change my opinion. He did offer his opinion and offer rebuttals to some of my points and some of my arguments. But all of the discussions that I had with Governor Abbott were very respectful, including with his staff. And so I have no problem with the governor. We just happen to disagree on this issue.
Why do you believe that he and other conservatives, certainly the Senate, have really been pushing hard for this?
I can't tell you for certain, but I do know that that the primary voters, this is an issue that comes up in Republican primaries and in the GOP platforms and such. And what I've found is that as a representative, I've been the most successful when I've been able to communicate to my district that I represent every single person in the district and not just a handful of primary voters. That does send some arrows in my direction, but also I get way more compliments from the general public, the general voter, the general constituent that says, thank you for representing everyone and not just 5 or 8% of vocal primary voters. And so I have to put up with that. I will have to, answer for that. And I'm willing to, because I think that ultimately right now, I know what's best for my district who has come out and talked to me. I don't have people coming to me in restaurants saying we need an education savings account. I have people saying, thank you for standing up for public education.
And so if this bill, you said before that you don't believe HB1 as it stands right now has enough votes to pass in the House, the problem, the issue of providing school districts more funding and teacher pay raises, which the governor himself and his report identified as a big problem in the state of Texas, still has to be resolved. So if HB1 goes down in a ball of flames, then how does the House, pass legislation to give teachers a pay raise and to increase school funding?
Well, that's an interesting question because the way that the bill is in the House, they're lumped together, and that's the only way that we were able to get a bill that had an ESA to the floor was to have teacher pay in it. I will tell you this: whenever I talk to voters, they're concerned about the border. They're concerned about the economy, inflation. They're concerned about the safety of their children and their communities. We have passed legislation, the strongest border security legislation in the country, and they're on their way to the Senate and the governor's desk for approval and for concurrence. We've done our job on border. Texas is doing its job when the Biden administration fails. We have a school safety, HJR, and a school safety bill that should be passed and sent to the governor as well. And so the things that the people of my district care about will have an opportunity to be signed. I would hope that if the education savings account was not able to be passed in either house, that there would be a signal sent that said, Texas isn't ready for this. The Texas House does not have an appetite for this. But I tell you what we do need. We do need to make sure that our teachers are taken care of, not only retired, but current and future. We need to retain talent. We need to pay them. We need to make sure that they're bonused appropriately and that these school districts who have passed deficit budgets get an increase in basic allotment so that they can fund these budgets. They're expecting Texas to make sure that our free system of public schools as constitutionally mandated is funded. And I don't think it's fair to lock a voucher up on the backs of our teachers, the backs of our safety, the backs of our districts, and ultimately the kids, because that's what this is about. I don't think that I guess we'll get called back until Christmas, until January. I don't know, but if we get everything done but an ESA, I think that shows you where the state's at.
I was just going to say, Governor Abbott hinted last Friday that he will call lawmakers back in December, in January, in February, if necessary. So when you heard that, what was your reaction?
Well, he is the governor of Texas, and that is his right to do so. We the legislators have the holidays coming up, and the voters have primaries coming up in February and March, where we'll need to be talking to our voters about standing on our records of the things that we've voted for, and this is my fourth session. And I'm proud of the record that I have, and I'm happy to go talk to people about it. It's kind of hard to talk to your voters if you're in Austin, and I don't live across the street. I live 3 hours away.
And my last question is just, as you mentioned, House Bill 2, HJR 1, the school safety measure, which would require voter approval. Talk to me, do you think that there are votes there to pass that? This would provide a steady stream of funding for school districts to make sure their campuses are hardened and are safe.
I cannot imagine a scenario where a member of the Texas House would vote against school safety.
All right, we'll leave it at that. State Representative Justin Holland of Heath, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jack.